Welcome YouTube to my channel. My name is Zanye with Evolving Minds Therapy, and today I'd like to talk to you about relationships while in quarantine. Now, I know it's been a huge problem for a lot of people, so I want to go over a few tips and things that we can do to make the time easier. Now, relationships are made with anyone, right? We have relationships with friends, family, children, co-workers, things like that. But today I really want to specifically talk about the relationships that we're in with our mates, the ones we love, the ones we lay next to. So, first things first, um, during the quarantine, a lot of us are spending a lot of time together that we haven't never spent together. You know, a lot of people work, so they're not usually in each other's faces all day, and so they don't know how to really cope with it. And we're getting a lot of arguments. A lot of my clients are complaining about just what do they do to spend time together, even though they're in the house, they're not actually together. So a lot of that is a problem, and that's what I'm here to talk to you about today. So first thing that comes up a lot is the time, okay? The time that you're spending together, whether it's too much time or too little time. So what do you do to kind of mitigate that factor, okay? So it doesn't matter if it's too much time or too little time. You need to designate a time that you two can spend together, okay? So, but before we even talk about solutions, I want to talk about 3 of the basic things you need in a relationship to kind of make it work, to make it flow. And then I want to talk about 3 relationship killers, because there's definitely things that just kill a relationship, no matter who you're doing it with. And when you do it, it is just going to be a killer, just like things are letdowns. That's how these things are. So I want to talk about 3 positives basically and 3 negatives. And the one thing about my channel and the one thing about me as a therapist and what I like to say about therapists is that when you find a therapist, you want to make sure the vibe is good between you and them. You want to make sure they have your best interest at heart, because really our only jobs are to want to see you succeed in whatever that is. So we should really be the most positive person that you, not the most, but one of the most positive people that you have in your life, because our goal is just to see you win. Okay, so that's my goal for everyone, even people that I don't know. I want to see you win. So let's talk about the relationships. So the 3 things to keeping your relationship healthy, we all know. The first one is communication. Communication is everything. We were made with mouths, okay, to communicate. There's no other way we communicate. Of course, there's nonverbal communication, which is like your body language. Like if I start frowning, you guys will be like, what's wrong with her? Or your hand language, things like that. But communication, your mouth, you need to be speaking to your partner. If you guys are walking around each other and not speaking, what's getting solved? I mean, how are you solving anything if you don't open your mouth? From babies, we when we're hungry, we whine. When we're able to talk, we say food or eat. Those are things that we're used to. So you have to communicate with your partner. Now, how do you do that? You want to find a good time. It's called conflict resolution, type skills. And we're not going to talk about that all the way today. But number 1, just make sure it's a good time to sit your partner down and ask them, hey, I have a few things I want to talk about. Is this a good time for you? Or can we set up a time to talk? Which is going to bring me to the killer of a relationship, but I'll save that for later so we can stay, on track. But communication is everything. So what are the key components of communication? Obviously, you want to listen. You want to hear your partner out. A lot of us are usually halfway listening and then waiting to rebut, give a rebuttal, respond, or give something, negative, something smart you want to say to your partner. You don't want to do that. You want to be listening and focused on what they're saying, and hopefully like you're focused on me. But you want to be listening, and then you want to be able to respond, okay? Paraphrase, repeat what they've said to you in a way that lets them know that you heard them. A lot of the times people are listening and they just sit there and it seems like you're being lectured. You don't want to be lectured while you're talking to your mate. You want to have a back and forth communication. So that's the one thing you really want to pay attention to, that you're responding, you're repeating what the person has said to you, whether it's in your own words or not, but it needs to kind of stay on topic. And listen. And why do you want to do that? Because you care about your relationship. You want to see your relationship work. You know, people are in these relationships and they don't communicate. It's like, what's your goal? What's the end goal? You know? And I'm going to talk about that as well. The mindset you need to be in when you're trying to make a relationship work, especially during quarantine. Again, you guys are stuck on top of each other. You know, you want to make sure that your day is filled with some kind of happiness and things that you guys like to do. You just have to kind of rework it and rewire some things. Okay, so number one, communication. 3 things to keep a relationship healthy while you're in the quarantine. Communication. Number 2, it's really about respect. You know, I'm going to have a little taping recording of me and a friend. I've had a friend for 20 years, and I want to go ahead and put her on as a guest because I want people to understand what makes a friendship work for 28 years versus relationships. Somehow I feel that relationships, they don't work out because you're not treating them like a friend, okay? Or a person that you actually respect, you care to listen to, you take advice from, things like that. So I kind of want to show why other relationships work as opposed to intimate relationships. So that'll be on hopefully next week. But respect. You respect your friends, you respect your boss, you respect all kind of people, but you don't respect your mate. You can't respect them enough to communicate with them. And you wonder why it's not working. You're not talking to them with respect. So that's a super big, important step. Now, while we're in quarantine, your partner may be used to having alone time. So how do you do that without getting offended or feeling like they don't want to spend time with you? You know, feeling isolated even more because they need alone time while we're in isolation. So you do that by respecting their wishes. If a friend didn't want to go out with you that night, you wouldn't, well, some of you guys might pressure them. You're like, come on, let's go. But no, you really wouldn't pressure them if they weren't feeling well or they didn't want to go out somewhere, you know, had a tummy ache, whatever it was, you really wouldn't pressure them. You would be more sympathetic and empathetic, which kind of ties in with the respect. Empathy, in order for you to have respect for someone, empathy is pretty important. I mean, empathy is being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes. So being able to feel with someone and their experiences. Sympathy is feeling sorry for people. You know, we all kind of feel sorry for some people. You know, your heart may melt a bit. But empathy is really like your heart is melting because you understand what they're saying. You feel with them. So empathy is a skill for some people. Some people don't have it. Which is a whole nother topic. If a person doesn't have empathy, it's really important to have as a human being. And there's different levels, but empathy is basically hearing your partner and really hearing what they're saying. Now, I know that sometimes people don't make sense to us, right? We're like, what are you talking about? But we have to respect that it's their feelings and their point of view. And if you do that more often, I'm sure your relationships will be a lot better. If you just learn to respect the person's point of view. And that's it. Like, I hear what you're saying. I totally hear you. There's nothing wrong with agreeing to hearing someone. It doesn't mean you agree with everything that they're saying. It just means you agree with hearing them and where they're coming from. So if you do that during the quarantine, understand and hear what your partner is saying, even if you don't agree with it. Just, I hear you. Okay, I hear you. I got it. I hear you. So that really confirms people's and validates their feelings. And everybody wants their feelings validated. Everyone. So number 3, compromise. Compromise. Say it with me. Compromise. Compromise. You need to be able to compromise. And that is with anyone. I really don't understand how people expect for a relationship to work when you can't compromise. We compromise with everybody. Take an employer. Oh, I need you to work extra hours today or this week. Oh, no, I can't work them on Tuesday, but I could definitely cover those shifts for you on Thursday and Friday. Compromise. It's like negotiating. You negotiate with the buying things. Oh, $24, that seems like a lot. What about 20? Especially if you're at a flea market or something and where you can't compromise. But you do it all the time. It's just that you're not taking the time to compromise with your mate anymore. You want what you want. You know, you want things to be the way you want them? Oh, our things are changing. What about those kind of relationships? Again, we're in quarantine. Things have changed. So, of course, you have to change your pattern a little bit. Is it going to last forever? Maybe not. Change doesn't always have to last forever, especially within a person. And that's a whole nother topic, but change doesn't always last. It could be temporary, which gets you through a temporary situation, like the quarantine, okay? So, and then things may be able to go back to how they were. But you can't just be like, I want things the way I want them, and that's it, and I'm not going to compromise because I'm right. Whatever it is, compromising is so important. Another good point, we don't compromise on everything. Pick one or two things that you can definitely compromise on. Say you leave your socks out. You're a guy and you leave your socks out all the time and your wife hates it. You can compromise. Like, oh, I know she hates it. Let me just put up my socks. Okay? And it'll make her so happy. That's a compromise. Especially that you're home more often. Things like that. What else would be another good compromise? Washing dishes. You guys are eating at home a lot more, so maybe you guys can kind of trade off on who does the dishes one day and who doesn't. Again, that's going to require communication. So you're going to have to make sure hey, honey, I feel statements are great. I feel overworked sometimes and just tired and stressed out with having to cook and do the dishes every night. Is there any way that we can kind of come up with a solution for this? I love you. Things like that. And you can make things fun. It depends on your personality, but obviously you don't have to have such a serious talk every time you talk. But this is going to bring me to the three relationship killers, okay? The three killers in any relationship. First one, defensiveness. If your partner is coming to you and asking you in the correct way to sit down, or when is there a good time for you to talk, honey? If they're coming to you, that means it took a lot from them. It took a lot out of them probably to be able to approach you and ask you to talk. Don't get defensive. Don't automatically assume that it's something super negative. Like it's something that's going to just detrimental. People get anxiety and they think that the talk is going to kill them. No, it's just a talk. And if you treat it as such, it won't feel so pressurized. And again, the person bringing the talk, you need to bring it in a good way so the person doesn't feel like there's so much pressure coming with the talk. So defensiveness, it kills any type of communication. You're not defensive with your boss. You don't go in the room and be like, no, I didn't say that. What you talking about? Oh, I'm just done with this. No one does that in communication with someone that they respect and someone that they're going to listen at, hear out. No one does that. So don't go into it like that with a mate. It's a complete relationship killer. Okay? You have to have an open mind. And number one, again, respect. You respect them. You love them. You sleep with this person. You lay with this person. So why would you be defensive when they're coming to you about something? And of course, you don't want to nag on the other side of things. But again, defensiveness in general kills a lot of relationships, not just your intimate ones. So please try not to be so defensive. Number two, passive aggressive individuals. Now, we all have some traits, right? There's traits that we all do. But there are also people who do those traits a lot more, so then they're labeled with the actual problem. Like a lot of people don't like diagnoses, and I get it. It's a label, but a chair wouldn't be a chair. A chase wouldn't be a chase. We wouldn't be able to differentiate a blanket from a throw blanket from a comforter. You wouldn't be able to differentiate things. So when you have a set of traits that are in line with a label, that's what you're going to label it. So of course we all have tendencies to do passive aggressive things, but some have a passive aggressive personality trait, and they depict that a lot. So basically a passive aggressive person does things to you or around you, but they're never direct. So they're never actually telling you what the problem is, but their attitude and their behavior is showing you that they have a problem. So, guys, you should know this one. Your wife, she stops cooking all week or a couple of days before you're like, what's going on? I haven't gotten a meal. what did I do? And you start feeling like I did something wrong, and you're like guessing, and then your brain is turning because you really don't know, but you're trying to know, so it doesn't continue, but nobody's speaking. So again, that's passive aggressiveness. She stopped cooking to show you a lesson about something, but she didn't tell you the lesson. So passive aggressiveness never works, and a lot of people should know that. I mean, by now, I think a lot of people should know that. It's just that it's just a habit for a lot of people. Again, say someone doesn't shave or doesn't clean up like they used to, or whatever. It's sending a message of something's wrong, but you don't have a clue. Passive aggressive behavior. That kills a relationship is basically what we're talking about. You cannot go around a person and not let them know exactly what's going on. People aren't mind readers. Some are really good at guessing, but people aren't mind readers. So to go walk around someone and do, I call it like nasty little mean behaviors, doesn't solve anything. It really doesn't. Third thing. So first we had defensiveness, then we had passive aggressiveness. The third thing would be carrying past things, carrying your past with you. So anytime you're in a relationship, you don't want to have so much baggage that you're constantly bringing it up. Or say you guys had some issues in your relationship before this quarantine, and now you guys are forced to live together, and be around each other, and you never talked it out. Well, now would be a good time to go ahead and do the healthy communication styles. Or seek therapy. It's always an option. And now that it's so accessible, I mean, that's a great option. But past trauma, it's a weight on your shoulders, and it's a weight that everyone else can sense and feel. They may not know that it's from your past. They may just think, oh, she's snappy about these things, or she always gets mad when I do this. And you're not really knowing where it's coming from. So that's why it's a real relationship killer, because people aren't aware of where it's coming from, again, unless you let them know. So past trauma could be mates cheating on you, so you want to keep tabs on your mate all the time. Phone calls all the time to your mate, bugging them while they're at work, not trusting them while they're at work. Social media, things like that can pop up as symptoms of past trauma and kill your relationship. So say your mate was cheating on you on social media, like I said, because that's so new today. And now your mate has to work on social media. You may, need to discuss that and drop some of the baggage so you can proceed forward in your new relationship. We all have to make certain changes. Again, they don't have to stay a change. They don't have to stay the same. A change doesn't have to stay the same. And it usually won't, because everything is always moving. I like to say trees are growing. The sun is rotating. Seasons are changing. Everything is changing always. So never expect things to stay the same. We just want to kind of move and flow with those changes. So, so we recognize change. I mean, and so we are changing. And we're flowing and we're adapting is what I want to say. So but nothing stays the same. Is what the old saying is, But I like to think some things do stay the same. Like our personalities are pretty much stagnant, but we change some things when we need to. Interviews, church. I like to say we have different personas, not personalities. That's something different, but we have different personas that we do switch up to. But those are pretty much, they pretty much stay the same. The way you act at work is pretty much the same way you're going to act at work. The way you act at home is pretty much the same way you're going to act at home. Conflict, the way you handle conflict is going to kind of stay the same. So these type of things, I think they kind of pretty much stay the same. So those were the three key points to healthy relationships, which were communication, respect, and with respect comes along empathy, and then also the third thing, which was compromise. Those are the three healthy tips. Now, the three things that will kill a relationship would be defensiveness, passive aggressiveness, and also carrying negative baggage, your past, carrying your past into a relationship. You either need to work it out with the present person, work it out with a clinician, work it out with, if you can, the past person, or maybe like a mother daughter issue, things like that. So what do you do to help the issues of being in a confined space during this quarantine, being around someone, your mate, that you haven't been around so often? You guys are clashing. You guys are butting heads. I didn't know he snored that much, or I didn't know he liked to sleep that much when he didn't have anything to do. I didn't know he didn't have a hobby. Like, just different things. I didn't know he had, left his dishes everywhere. Jesus, it wasn't that much when we were just seeing each other twice a week, or just, oh, what about this one? Oh, we would come home from, work, eat dinner, but then it would just be a sexual thing. We would just go ahead and do our thing and then go to sleep. All these different things and patterns need to be kind of tweaked. I like to say tweaked versus changed because, again, I don't think people tweak things, again, to go with the flow of their life. We're not going to be the same in every point of our life, but we're also, I don't believe, changing ourselves that much. We're tweaking things about ourselves. And I think it's also, it puts less pressure on you if you know you can just tweak something versus, oh, I have to do this big old change and it's going to be so hard. So I like to say the word tweak. But yeah, we're going to have to tweak patterns if we're going to make it through quarantine with those that we love and come out of quarantine still loving them, which is what ultimately we want to do. So there are a few tips that I want to kind of talk about for quarantine and relationships, and how do we get this kind of healthy dialogue going. And I want to also mention that there's healthy conflict all the time. I mean, there are also, with the passive aggressive people that I told you that don't like to kind of bring up anything for fear of how the situation may go, for fear of reactions that they may get. There is healthy conflict, people. You have to have it. You have to be able to work through conflict. We do it at work. I keep using work as an example, but it truly is a great example of how you handle conflict at work. You may report it to a supervisor. You may report it to a coworker, or talk about it first to a coworker before you bring it to your mate. Same thing in relationships. There's healthy conflict. It's called solution-focused communication. When there's a conflict, your mindset needs to be solution focused. When I say that I am a very positive person now and I want to be a positive person in people's lives, I really mean that. But it took me time to not so-called say I'm a realist. No, a realist does not have to be negative. What a realist thinks is realistic, they're only focusing on the negative aspects of life. Yes, there's crime. Yes, there's murder. Yes, there's disease. Yes, there's coronavirus. However, that's not all there is. So if I'm a realist, that doesn't mean I just focus on coronavirus. No, I focus on the economy after the coronavirus. I focus on how people are going to want to get out and really do things that they didn't even do before because they're so happy to be out. You want to focus on the full picture, not just the negativity. A realist usually is negative, because you're only choosing to focus on that negativity. So when I say positivity, it is literally a learned practice. It is something you make yourself do. And it's something that you eventually adapt, like a new habit. And those are things that we can do. We definitely change by adapting new habits. So I do believe in that kind of change. Now, whether you keep it or you change it again, that's something different. But we're always evolving. Evolving minds therapy. But no, we're always wanting to evolve. So healthy conflict, people, there's definitely healthy conflict. It's definitely needed in any relationship to solve things. So your mindset has to be solution focused. Anything I go into, what's the solution? What can I do? What can I do to make it better? What can I do just to make it? You don't have to just always strive to be the best in everything, but you should strive, obviously we've been taught that. But I mean, at least just striving. And striving for something positive is enough. And it is enough to boost people out of the darkest places. Just looking at the positive. Well, it doesn't feel natural. How can I say that somebody, this coronavirus is a positive thing? How can I even think positively in this moment? What? What do you mean? How can you think? How can you not think positively is what I ask myself. because there's so many negative things around us. Why would I choose to focus on that? That's what I mean. It's a choice. I choose to focus on after the coronavirus. I choose to focus on what I can do now to keep my mental health strengthened, to keep my family strengthened, things like that. So you definitely choose to be positive. And it's something I'm willing to teach, and it's something that I know I can teach. Done it with a lot of clients. I've had definitely suicidal clients, clients with low self-esteem that have definitely come out of that. And positivity is a method. Okay, so we have talked about the three negatives, three positives to a relationship, how to survive this coronavirus quarantine. But some of the tips. Now, I read something. It is Gottman's 5-to-1 positive interactions kind of theory, or kind of technique, should I say. It's a technique. So 5-to-1 ratio, right? So it's for every one negative interaction with your mate, partner, you want to have 5 positive interactions. So say you were condescending, or no, say you woke up on the wrong side of the bed in the morning. You want to definitely say some positive statements throughout the day. Say you were critical of him not washing dishes. Back to the dish example. Honey, I know I was really critical about you not washing dishes, but when you do wash dishes, you do an amazing job, and I appreciate you every time you do. Every time you do the dishes. So those kind of things you want to kind of balance off. Compliments, those are helpful. Just doing something for someone. So I suggest you guys read up on the 5-to-1 positive interactions by Gottman. He's a relationship expert, pretty much, and has some great books. We'll talk about him at a later time. And then also there is, what is it? The Imago relationship theory. I actually just found this. I didn't really know too much about it, so I'm not going to elaborate much about it. However, it looked nice because it was kind of like conflict resolution, and we use conflict resolution with anyone. Any relationship that you have that you're trying to save and that you know is savable, salvageable, you use conflict resolution. So it seems kind of like that kind of technique, but specifically, specifically for relationships. So it is called the Imago, Imago relationship theory. So that's a theory if you want to kind of look into that. But the technique, the 5-to-1 ratio by Gottman, that's much easier. It's a technique that you can do throughout your day. And also remember, there's a lot of techniques that we use that are pretty easy, so we can kind of remember the techniques. So that is something I really wanted to talk to everybody about today. I've been hearing a lot of relationship issues. I actually have a session coming up today at about 3 p.m. And it's a premarital session, but a lot of people are just having issues, I believe, with the quarantine. And so I wanted to make a video and try to help out with some of that. I will be posting these videos at least once a week in different topics. Again, my name is Zanye. I'm a licensed professional counselor. I've been doing this for over 4 years in the Nevada area. My private practice is Evolving Minds Therapy. You can see us online. You can get some more information about our Box It Out emotionally release workshop that I also want to kind of set up, but I kind of want to stick to a few things and limit them because I also am working with clients, of course. But I'm feeling that this is really a good time to connect with people in a different way. I'm not a social media person at all. I've had all the accounts, but I've never used them. Facebook is one of them that I post pictures to and talk to my family. And that is so rare. I don't even check comments. So me doing this YouTube channel is a really big thing. It's a new thing. I'm usually really shy. I don't know if you can tell, probably. But I really love what I do, and I love helping people. And I think that a lot of this platform is a really good way to again, touch a lot of people, and whoever may tune in. So I want to do some lives, and I want to do kind of have like a stable kind of podcast type thing. So I'm still looking into that. But I just want you guys to know that these are videos that I care about, people I care about. Genuinely, it doesn't matter if I don't know you. I care about you genuinely. I think everyone needs a person like that in their life, and if you don't have one, check me out. I'm here for you. So thank you for tuning in to Evolving Minds Therapy channel. I'm Zanye, and you guys have a wonderful remainder of your weekend. And I hope to talk to you soon, and hopefully a lot of you guys watch it and share the video. Like it if you like it. Comment below because I would love to read comments. Even if there's like criticisms, I would love to hear them. And yeah, like, comment, subscribe below. Hopefully you can hear the little jazz in the background. If not, I'll kind of set something else up. I just like a little bit of noise when I'm in a room, even in a therapy session. So, and you can contact us at evolvingmindstherapy.com. You can email us at contactus@evolvingmindstherapy.com. Or find me on YouTube or Facebook, Zanye Allen, also on LinkedIn. Thank you all for watching, and you have a wonderful day. And guess what? Amazing things will happen in 2020. Nice to talk to you all. You guys have a good day. Bye.